When I was growing up, it was during the Second World War, so there was not a whole lot of toys out there. Everything was being used for wartime. So I was always making something with my hands, with cheese boxes or whatever you could find, little pieces of wood to work with. When I started Boy Scouts then, my grandfather had given me a knife when I was 8, and I have a duplicate of that knife that we found years ago. Then when I was a senior in high school, they gave us an aptitude test of some sort. The test results came back and they said, well, with your aptitude in mathematics, with your interest in hands and drawing, it looks like to us that you'd make a really good pattern maker. And I said, what's a pattern maker? I have no idea. So I went home and asked my dad, I said, here's what came back with the test. And I said, I don't have any clue what a pattern maker is. And he said, well, I know what a pattern maker is. My dad was a foreman at Cummins. I finally decided that wood carving was my the chosen element because wood is warm. If you're doing sculpture in stone, stone is very cold. It's really hard on your hands, whereas working with wood is more comforting and it's easier on your hands. When I first started out, I was doing three-dimensional carvings, which is what you see on the wall in the neckerchief slides. And then I did a lot of three-dimensional carvings for other people. In 1946, after the war, we had what we called the ball diamond, which was next to the foundry here in Columbus. And that field was open most of the time, except when the circus came to town. And that was our sandlot ball diamond. All the kids, neighbor kids, would go over there and play ball. But when it was circus time, the circus would come to town on the train and then unload within a block there, which was 2 blocks from my house. And we'd always go over there then, and we'd want to water the elephants or whatever, see if we could get a free ticket. And of course, they'd always run us off because they're afraid to, if an elephant steps on you, it's probably not too good. So, but anyhow, that was part of that. So that was one of my carvings now that I have. It said that in the paper, I have a clipping that talks about the train coming in and unloading. And it said the train was almost a mile long. And it was the second largest circus in the United States at that time, which was the Cole Brothers Circus. So all of those memories ended up within my memories also now. And so that's the fun part, that you touch other people's memory. Well, I hadn't thought about that in years, But yeah, I saw it happen. Mooney came to Columbus with the carvings in his truck, and that's what I'm carving right now. I was about 8 years old at that time. We went to the county fair. His truck was just inside the grounds of the county fair. So Mooney would come out on a platform that was connected to his truck with a little piece of wood and a knife, and he'd make a few cuts in the wood, here and here and here and here, and make a pair of pliers. And I said, wow, I want to learn how to do that. I told my folks, I want to see him do that again. And they said, well, we're going to go over to the exhibit and look at the 4-H exhibits, and then we'll pick you up on the way back, because we were going to go ride a few rides, and then we were going to go to the harness races that they had every year, have some Cracker Jack and go home. That was our yearly event to go to the fair. So I'm standing there waiting for Mooney to come. What he would do then, people would come out and go through his truck, and I think they paid a nickel or a dime, whatever it was, to see his carvings. And so then he came back out on the platform. The people that had gone through were gone, and I'm standing there. And he said, can I help you, son? And I said, well, I want to see you do that again. And he said, would you like to see what's in the truck? And I said, well, I don't have any money. And he said, don't worry about it. So he came down off the platform and took me by the hand and led me through the truck. And what he had in the truck exhibiting was called the history of steam. And it was from the little bitty steam engines up to the bigger engines, up to the train engines, and even had the Lincoln funeral train carved out of ebony and ivory. Most fabulous stuff that you'd ever seen. Well, all those carvings are now in a museum in Dover, Ohio. I've always accredited God for giving me the gifts of using my hands. And I believe that God does give us gifts, and he expects us to use them. So that's kind of what I've done.